over half a century. So it's the government's responsibility in moving towards more of a market economy. And the way of doing this is, as Nick had mentioned, establishing a proper legal framework, enforcing laws, controlling corruption and organized crime, creating and enforcing property rights and economic freedom, encouraging private ownership and entrepreneurship, creating a sound economic, fiscal, and monetary policies, and preserving political stability. So this economic transition, what would be needed is the basic needs for the thriving business, the basic needs being infrastructure, which was mentioned by the engineers, being the examples power, water and sewer, transportation, communication, internet, and as well as establishing a tax policy and establishing labor training. So formation of the entrepreneur. Start with a quote, "Necessity is the mother of all invention." And you see this quote occurring currently in the island. Cubans are living off of a black market, and this necessity has created the need for an illegal entrepreneurship. And in Exile, Cubans comprise one of the most economically successful immigrant groups on the planet. So as you see in both instances, entrepreneurship is in our blood. So the importance of entrepreneurs. First off, entrepreneurs create economic wealth and capital formation. And as creator of small businesses, entrepreneurs are actually the largest provider of employment opportunities, which this creates a balanced regional development, which will spread economic growth through all of Cuba's provinces. It'll reduce the concentration of economic power, and it'll improve the standard of living for all, and it'll create a faster move, again, to this market economy. So the role of the Exile community. The Exile community is in a very unique position. We have a lot of successful immigrants that live in close proximity with a lot of entrepreneurial success. So there's this need of foreign investment, creating opportunities within Cuba through direct ownership of those currently living in Cuba. So the Exile community we have to take an active role in the mentoring and information on business formation. So it's critical, this free flow of information and the creation of incubators. So in conclusion, Cuba is going to be in need of new businesses in every single segment of the economy. So with proper government initiatives, there will be significant opportunities for entrepreneurs and foreign investments. May it be a small startup business to large opportunities in fields where most exiles have flourished in markets all over the world. So the Exile community can actively participate in the creation of this new business environment. So the highest priority has to be this creation of employment opportunities and, more importantly, ownership opportunities for Cubans on the island. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie Fernandez. We're going now to present and to talk about the food service and retail. Juan Martinez, PhD, and Julio Ramirez, that has made a career with Burger King Corporation for 26 years. Both are coming, and now you have the podium. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So I just noticed I've been set up because short, fat, and ugly that I am, I'm following a beautiful, smart young lady. But Helena knew what she was doing, because what she did, she gave you double trouble. Two short, fat, and uglies together. Maybe we can make it a little better. Not true.
But our total will be 7 minutes because we came from the fast food business.
It'll never happen. It'll never happen. Let me tell you why you need to pay attention to this presentation. Hay un dicho. No sé si hay un dicho. If not, I'm creating it. Si no hay jama, no hay nada. Okay? Pay attention. Right? We'll be brief. We'll be brief. But the reality, the reason I asked Julio to join is because Julio is a foremost figure in food service in the Latin American community. Some of you may know it. I know a lot of you read the pamphlet, probably none of you. But he used to be president of Burger King Latin America. And finally, he was executive vice president of Burger King in global operations. So if somebody knows food service, is Julio. So the questions at the end of this go to him. I'm just here to do the front end. So we're consultants now. We joined hands at Burger King many years ago. So Now we get to do this gig together. Let me start by presenting some realities. You've already seen realities. I call them the good, the bad, and the ugly. Anybody watch that movie? Good, the bad, and the ugly. That's what we probably have in Cuba. And by the way, before I keep going, there used to be 2 Puerto Ricans here. Maurice Ferrez already left. I'm the other one left. So anyhow, I had to say that. But good, right? High infrastructure development. There's a lot of stuff going to be going on in Cuba. Population will crave food concepts. If you don't believe it, go to Puerto Rico. The per capita restaurant in Puerto Rico, it's incredible. Highest average volume restaurants in Puerto Rico than anywhere else in the U.S. There's going to be food, right? Hama. Everybody wants hama. High population growth. You know, it's been stagnant for so long, right? 1%, 10%, whatever it is. And proximity to U.S. Those are key goods, call them. The bad, right? Construction facilitation. I need not say any more, right? Enough is said about that. Trained workforce. I call it aptitude and attitude, right? Aptitude speaks of what you know. Attitude is a little bit more difficult, right? They probably have an attitude right now. It may not be a good one. You got to deal with it, right? Food handling safety practices. You got to serve food that's safe. Otherwise, you know, we don't want a lot of people with stomach problems over there. And then product supply availability. Right? But we'll work with Ryder, we'll work with Mr. Perez to get the food in there, the buildings, and we'll get all that stuff. And the ugly. Nick's going to resolve this in 30 days?
Maybe a little more than that.
Maybe a little more than that. But I've got a solution. We come up with a solution. Crafty Julio and I came up with a solution that I want to share with you, a possibility, right? So, an operational format, right? Clearly, we want involvement from the Cuban community because, and Julio said this, people cheer for the home team, right? Somehow you got to get that community involved because these darn Americans are coming in to take over. You just got to get them involved somehow. Not sure how to do that with the aptitude and the attitude they have, but we'll work on that. You know, that's a challenge. I think somewhere along the way you need to have social and community support so people embrace the concept. You see what happens nowadays with all these restaurants that are in the internet and tweeting and this and that and the other? It's all social. It's a very social economy, right? So somehow we're going to have to figure that out along the way. And then I think, and this is Julio presented this very nicely, it's, you know, what's a franchise going to look like? I really not know. I mean, company, restaurants, franchise companies, we know somewhere along the island, with a hub somewhere, Havana, why not, right? We have to find a building that's not falling apart, but we'll put it in there somewhere. So the possible initial solution set, right? If I have a problem with real estate, what do I need to have? A mobile restaurant, right? Those of you who've seen them, this is a possibility. Until the real estate gets resolved, if Mohammed doesn't go to the mountain goes to Mohammed, right? So that's a possibility to deal with the real estate. And Julio and I...
No, I was going to say, one comment. Today, the fast food that does exist in Cuba, and it's been there for 25 years, are called Rapido. They actually have a brand name. They're mobile units that sell hot dogs, chips, and some type of drink for $1, a peso, whatever. So it's not going to be new news to them. But I think until we solve things like real estate, it'll be a very fluid process, and importing everything down to water may be a temporary solution as we work through it. But we have this and many other options to talk about at some time.
Clearly there's going to be a demand, so that's not a problem. Cuba has pretty deep water ports, so we should be able to get ships in there with these trucks. These trucks don't have to be big. Easier said than done, but it's, again, indulge me in my reality here or not. Simplicity concept or rule. Hamburger, fry, and drink, right? That may go. Maybe put some pizza in there, a little bit of fried chicken. But keep it simple, stupid, right? Because otherwise, how do you execute? It'd be impossible to execute. For how long? Until the bad and the ugly gets resolved, right? Nick, at the end of it, I'm going to ask Nick that question, you know, how long will that be? So we can then plan our gig here, but, you know, I don't know how long. That's just an idea. Other solutions, you know, clearly we need food safety training because it's critical for the food to be safe. Catering systems, right? Taking the food to the people. A lot of companies nowadays do a lot of catering. Panera does a lot of catering. Chipotle does a lot of catering. Corner Bakery does a lot of catering. Giardino Salads, who we happen to be involved with as investors and owners, does a lot of catering. So take the food to the people. Food commissaries. Right now we're talking a little bit more complicated. You're talking about infrastructure with building, with equipment. But food commissaries could also help a little bit. All right, so somebody talked about how long the cars are gonna last. So maybe delivery is not a good idea. I don't know. Car, foot, motorcycle, bicycle, how long will they carry? I really have no idea, but you know, delivery could be it. Yeah, we'll see what happens when we get there. But our mobile trucks are gonna work, I guarantee you that, right? That's the guarantee. We focus events on non-traditional marketing versus traditional. Eventually, that's gonna change a little bit. Eventually, you're gonna have full-service restaurants, just like here. QSR, that's quick serve restaurant, right? We have to say a little of that. Fast casual, like Panera, Chipotle, casual dine, fine dining. Now, a caution that I would give anyone that wants to embark on this mobile idea, which, by the way, Julio and I have already patented, and Nick is our lawyer, so you can't steal this from us. It's just an idea. If you run a bad ambulante operation, you will mess up the brand. So when you build this building, nobody will show up. So there's a danger in going this route, right? If you're going to do it right. Otherwise, don't do it at all. Can I say about this?
Yeah, let me get my glasses.
Oh,
on.
no.
Good. Yeah, it's interesting, but, rule of law is still in place in the trademarks. And so in 1997, Rick Silva, who was my attorney and today is the CEO of Checkers, Cuban-American is the CEO of Checkers,
And he's been undercover boss twice.
which we're very proud of, did register Burger King and Whopper, and many other companies have done the same thing, because at least in a global world that still exists. Believe it or not, more than one company has tried to pirate, not only in the restaurant business, but in many other franchise businesses, have tried to, whether by design or by accident, have pirated company names that are used in the U.S. So, this is something you got to think about as you get into, this is more, Nick, your stuff, but I just thought it was interesting we were able to register. We actually had someone that had something similar to Burger King. We were able to take care of that. It was an Italian company that had a name very similar to that with 2 or 3 stores, and we just bought them. So we're able to get through that.
So speaking of pirates, right? How many new brands are going to show up in this democratic Cuba, entrepreneurial-based Cuba? Lots of them, guaranteed, right? Some are going to look like Burger Kings and McDonald's and whatever it is. So a lot of them, right? And you'll see it. So Julio and I are ready for this, right? So you can't steal this idea. We're going to open Julitos and Juanitos Hamburguera, right? We will take investors if you're interested, right? We will take investors. We've even created a logo, right? Julio's and Juanitos Hamburguera. Okay, so listen, I said it at the beginning, I'm Puerto Rican, but I'm very close to the Cubans. I've been married to a Cuban for many, many years. So there's a new language in Cuba, right? Acere, right? Que se vola, right? You guys know what I'm talking about. You've heard it. So our slogan is going to be, I don't know if you can read it at the bottom, but it says, El mejor hamburgue se hace aquí. We'll take investors, by the way.
You really have done very well, but Stephanie still is ahead of you. And we will finish this session by bringing Father Fernando de la Area. We already talked about him, but he's going to mention and to develop a subject which is very close to our heart and has to do with the role of the Cuban church today in Cuba. So welcome, Father.
I don't know how to use this, so Victor, can you help out? Thank you. Before I commence with my presentation, I told Dr. Roy that one of the marvels of the world, in my opinion, and of course being Cuba, that counts a lot, is La Farola de Baracoa. I don't know if any of you are familiar with that particular engineering work, but it really and truly is, in my opinion, one of the most beautiful marvels ever created by men. I'm not certain who the engineer responsible, I think it's one of the Arbesus, but I'm not sure. And in a way, since I think we have to pay some respect for the Cuban ingenuity that is involved. La farola goes around the mountain and takes you from the foot of the mountain in Guantanamo to the port of Baracoa without touching really and truly or disrupting the mountain itself. It's a marvel to behold, and it was in our country. My presentation, and I will break ranks, is not in English. The reason is because I'm going to be quoting quite a bit from the pastoral letter that has just been published by the Cuban Episcopacy. La Iglesia cubana pide un cambio político, económico, de participación pluralista para todos los cubanos. Los obispos cubanos abogan por sustituir definitivamente el Estado paternalista por un Estado participativo, que es otra forma de reclamar la libertad participativa hacia un Estado democrático. Dentro del marco de ese llamado, la Iglesia reconoce que aunque Cuba ha cambiado en los últimos años y el presente no se parece a los años pasados, una nueva generación de cubanos vive con el firme deseo de que el futuro sea mejor que el presente. La Iglesia recuerda a los gobernantes políticos que no se debe tener temor al cambio necesario hacia una autonomía social fuerte y responsable, potenciada desde la base, eso es, a nivel de raíz social, propiamente a lo grassroots level, propiciado por el pueblo y de acuerdo con las normas de la convivencia civilizada, capaz de desarrollar un trabajo fraterno según los grupos de intereses y necesidades específicas que unen y animan a diversos grupos humanos en búsqueda de soluciones propias, sin necesidad de esperar las respuestas y soluciones desde arriba. Eso es lo que es la doctrina social de la Iglesia, el principio de subsidiariedad, y es en sí mismo uno de los fundamentos de una sociedad abierta y solidaria. La carta pastoral del episcopado cubano deja por lo claro su exigencia de que se respete su espacio y el de sus fieles en conducirse dentro del marco de su doctrina social, eso es, en una sociedad políticamente, económicamente y socialmente pluralista. Esa exigencia de respetuoso espacio a sus enseñanzas evangélicas no tiene que verse de forma negativa por los gobernantes cívicos, dado que un gobierno cívicamente responsable evita el paternalismo estatal y sin dudas, añaden los obispos cubanos, el Estado participativo debe sustituir definitivamente al Estado paternalista. Eso, exponen los obispos cubanos, es la mayor herencia que podemos dejar a las generaciones futuras, el trabajar por lograr un presente mejor. La juventud, divino tesoro en toda generación del género humano, tiene sus propias ideas, visión, aspiraciones e intereses diversamente propios, los cuales pueden y por ello difieren de sus antepasados. Ellos definen sus propios matices sociales, antropológicamente dando así conocimiento y compartimiento propio de su identidad e interpretación de su realidad. Los jóvenes nos ofrecen el tesoro de sus aspiraciones hacia un bien común mayor y mejor. La juventud busca el inicio de un proceso de reformas radicales, lo cual se dan eco con el pensar de la Iglesia. Otras acciones las consideramos necesarias, acciones que lleguen ciertamente al alcance, pues